Hi, I'm Tracy Williams, and our guest today is Diana Vesga, Chief Operating Officer of the Los Angeles County Museum of Art. LACMA has the largest art collection in the West, and it's a real treasure of Los Angeles. I'm excited to have Diana with us because she's the business and operational brain that has kept LACMA's massive $650 million museum renovation project on time and on budget since 2017. She's putting anyone who's done even a small remodel in Los Angeles in a state of wonder and respect. It's just hard to believe. So, welcome, Diana.
Hi, Tracy. Great to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
So, Diana, this is so ambitious. Two new buildings, and you're actually spanning Wilshire Boulevard. It's a whole new landmark for our city. When will you open? I'm sure you get that question all the time.
So, we started our process right before the pandemic. So, in 2019, we started to remove the older structures, and I am happy to say we're about 80% done right now and hope to be finished with major construction at the end of this year, which is sort of incredible to be already there.
That's pretty exciting. The span over Wilshire, when is that completed at the very end, or that's going to
It's
be so cool to
done.
walk across?
It's done.
Oh,
It's finished. So we actually, on April 22nd, um, actually, April 22nd, we finished the concrete structure, and April 24th, we finished all the roof pours. So there's no more concrete to be poured. It's done, it's curing. The bridge over Wilshire, if you will, which is really gallery that crosses Wilshire, spans over Wilshire Boulevard, is done. It's completed. We are slowly removing scaffolding as the process goes from north to south. So the building is sort of revealed sequentially. As you remove the scaffolding that holds all that, you can actually see the building. And right now you cross under it on Wilshire. We never closed Wilshire in order to build the building, which was a promise we made. And we've kept the promise. And so we never closed it in both directions. It's been incredible to see it sort of come out into the view. It's much better to see the building now there than just on paper or renderings. And it's been pretty positive, the response for people who are seeing it.
so I guess my question, since you're such a businesswoman, and I'm sure you know, what is the economic impact of LACMA in Los Angeles?
Before the building project started, we actually commissioned a study to understand or assess what was the impact of this building project. Because the impact of LACMA as an institution, frankly, hasn't been measured. It's got to be enormous, not only because of the economic activity it generates, but frankly, because of the benefit to the community, since we have such a robust and expensive education program and public programs on campus and off campus. But for the project itself, we did the study, and it was over $1 billion in the local economy, which was great. I would love to update that study because that study was done before the pandemic and before inflation. And
Huh.
of course, all those economics have changed since.
Will you share with us the secrets of what was your biggest challenge? What was some of your fears? What did you have to overcome? I know there's so much.
During construction, the two probably most challenging things was that right when we were getting started, the pandemic started. And we had to continue, luckily, working. We were able to continue working in construction. Construction was considered an essential activity. And thanks to the fact that it was the beginning of the project, all the work was outdoors. So it wasn't really indoors, and the workers, were safe. And we didn't have outbreaks, but it was really a very trying time to get a project going. As you probably know, a lot of projects got put on hold. I think the second thing is, of course, we knew there were going to be tar and fossils, but there were more tar and fossils than the experts had expected. And that was definitely something that required tremendous amount of teamwork and steadiness to navigate, because when you find fossils, the construction around the fossils has to stop and paleontologists come in and excavate in a slow process what they find. And we had about 9 months of fossils. And every day that a fossil would be found, the construction management team and our team had to resequence all the construction activities. like constantly. And the level of coordination that a construction site requires is enormous. So having to resequence so much and so frequently was definitely a challenge. I think by then there was such a strong team and the team dynamics were so positive that we managed to navigate with all the key people who needed to weigh in, and now we're 80% done, so we made it.
So I want to know what your greatest concerns are moving forward.
I think that my main thing is actually onboarding, as they call the new building. It's almost like a new startup in a way because it's massive. It's almost 400,000 square feet. I mean, 376,000. And it's almost a new enterprise, even though we used to have buildings there on our East Campus that this building is replacing. It's an entire new building that we have to operate, manage, and of course pay for in terms of operating expenses. We also have to figure out our opening and all of that logistical effort to bring the art back and to open in the best possible way for our public.
This seems like the chief operating officer writ large, in terms of your role. What do you think are like the two or three or four, however many characteristics that made you successful? So other people can say, oh, I need to work on this in my efforts to run operationally. What can we all do better and be focused on to be good operational people?
So in my role, I think that I'm the person that takes the vision that our leadership, our CEO, director, as well as our board have, and translate that into how do I make it happen, which of course means using and maximizing our resources and creating roadmaps from getting us to point A to point B. And for this project, it was really just conceiving how to make it happen, both financially and operationally. So I'd say that the roadmap really was centered around the plan of finance for the long term that needed to layer on how to build this building, how to pay for that, how to service debt, how much debt, and then that in the context of a balanced operating budget, because we're a nonprofit and we're very proud of a balanced operating budget in addition. And it has to be monitored, tracked, held everybody accountable, and just with lots of discipline. And I think that the thing that really made the whole thing happen, which I'd say is the second one, is this owner mentality. I was so, and I am so passionate about what this whole transformation is about and what it means and the impact that it has at scale, that when I was talking about this project with any person that needed to be working on it, whether in the government, at the county, or at the city, at all layers and in all departments that had to be involved, or the community groups with whom I needed to meet, as well as part of the public process for the environmental impact review, or the neighborhood groups that I also had to meet with, because we also have to work with the neighbors, or my internal teams, and most certainly the contractors and consultants that I had to negotiate with and work with on a daily basis to make the project happen. I always wanted to share why this was important in the hope that they were inspired and feel like they owned it in the same way that I do. And I think that that sense of ownership made people make the improbable happen. There were so many hurdles that needed to be overcome because this was something kind of unprecedented in the complexity of its engineering, in how radical the change was, and obviously getting all the approvals, including having a gallery over Wilshire Boulevard and having airspace vacation of the city rights over Wilshire Boulevard to put art and people over Wilshire Boulevard. There needed to be a sense that this was something that we all felt was like a career project or a legacy. And that feeling, I think, inspired and motivated everyone in whatever way they were contributing to do things as best as they could. I'd say last, I think, the thing that I learned the most is consensus building. Just negotiating things always with a sense that we needed to come to solutions on all obstacles that were win-wins, and always kind of really understanding what was important for all sides and trying to find solutions that helped everybody. And it really built not just very strong sense of trust and credibility, with the county teams, with the city teams. And I call them teams because I really think that that's what they are. They're team members and they're an extended part of this team. And I work with them like that, with a long-term mentality. And that not just build that trust and credibility and sense of ownership, but mostly in the end, very strong relationships that in many cases are very strong friendships, people that I really have connected with, that I look forward to being connected with for the longest time. I mean, for the rest of my life, hopefully.
I don't know if you are willing to do this because it's like asking which of your children do you love the most, but you got to come up with your favorite feature of the new LACMA.
Okay, I love the light of this new building.
Oh,
Art museums don't often have natural light and not so much natural light. But most art objects actually were created for living spaces. They were not really created for museum spaces. And this museum will be unique in that way. The natural light is just incredible. And then it changes during the whole day. So the same artwork looks different at different times of the day. I love about this building too that it's going to be very quiet because Peter Zumthor, who's a master of the use of light, also creates spaces that are completely quiet. You don't hear the air conditioning. And so it really is meditative and it will provide an opportunity to experience art in a very different way. So I love that. I'd
that's
say
cool.
my last favorite thing, if I have to say something, is the floating stairs, a concrete sculpture that have no columns supporting them, that are going up to the exhibition level. Those are the two entry points, one's in the north and the other one is in the south. They're concrete sculptures, really, they're artworks. They are floating.
Wow.
They don't have any support. So this building, by the way, has not one column. The art towers that touch the ground hold the building. So there are many spans that are cantilevers without columns. So
And that was a
it's
Zumthor kind of vision. Is that
yeah.
symbolic of his work? And
It definitely was his design, and so it's a beautiful design, but it's also an engineering prowess. And so the structural engineers behind it, Skidmore, Owens, and Merrill, also have done an incredible job.
thank you, Diana. This is always so interesting. I really can't wait for that tour, and I'll take it with everybody else or special. And I just feel like we can all take such a lesson in running operations because even though it's big and vast and you needed these huge teams seems to be, the cornerstone of what you're considering success. And I think that's very generous of you to feel that way about everybody. But I think it's probably true in operations.
My pleasure, Tracy. It's been a pleasure to speak with you, and thank you for the opportunity. It's been wonderful.